An exclusive 10 on your side investigation into the Bob McDonnell corruption trial. Did the wrong judge hear the case?
We discovered potential conflicts between McDonnell and the trial judge who will sentence the former governor in January. 10 on your side's Andy Fox is here now with bombshell information. Andy?
Nicole and Tom, her name is Judge Margaret P. Spencer, wife of McDonnell's trial judge James Spencer. And in 1997, she was to become the first African-American woman elected to the Virginia State Supreme Court. That is, until House of Delegate member Bob McDonnell came along with fellow Republicans who defeated Margaret Spencer's nomination.
I was very surprised that this had not come to light sooner, Andy.
When we told attorney and former state senator Sonny Stallings about the past history among former governor and convicted felon Bob McDonnell, his trial judge James Spencer, and Spencer's wife Judge Margaret Spencer, well, he couldn't believe it.
It would concern me, having been in the legislature, judgeship fights really are very personal, not just political.
We found that judge fight on video at the Library of Virginia in Richmond, a fight full of racial overtones. Then Delegate Richard Cranwell suggesting Republicans were voting against African Americans and Jewish candidates for the bench.
You know why they were all rejected? Because they didn't drink from the valued cup of Republican water. And now you come back and say...
Republicans pushed back. Delegate Vince Callahan.
What I am appalled by, disgusted by, and shocked by is this racial card being played.
Then Delegate Bob McDonnell was above the racial fray, but he was clearly orchestrating the defeat of Margaret Spencer, who was nominated by Delegate Gene Cunningham.
Mr. Speaker, I nominate Margaret Spencer.
That's Margaret P. Spencer. Are there further nominations?
McDonnell promoted another candidate against Judge Spencer.
I would nominate Wiley F. Minshall of Virginia Beach for the Virginia Supreme Court.
17 years later, Bob McDonnell would be found guilty of 11 counts of corruption in Judge James Spencer's court.
Did they like Judge Spencer? Did they do some research on him and say, we think we can get a good trial from Judge Spencer, so that outweighs this potential bias he may have because of McDonnell's role and his wife not getting the judgeship?
We have learned McDonnell's attorney, Hank Asbill, who refused to comment, never raised the potential judicial bias issue before trial.
He would have to be outweighed by the fact that he was maybe the better of the evils, and he was the best we were going to do, and he's a good, fair man, and we'll take him. But I would have certainly wanted my client's permission not to raise that issue.
Not only did McDonnell vote twice against Judge Margaret Spencer for the state Supreme Court, he also voted against her a year later for a circuit court judgeship. What we now know, Team McDonnell thinks they did not get a fair, impartial trial, and in the motion for a new trial wrote there were numerous legal errors that deprived Mr. McDonnell of a fair trial and allowed the jury to convict him on legally erroneous grounds that would ensnare virtually any public official.
The perception with a lot of lawyers is that a lot of the rulings went against McDonnell.
The McDonnell lawyers also write that Judge James Spencer's jury instructions were legally erroneous because they allowed the jury to convict Mr. McDonnell on an erroneous understanding of official act. Was it payback time for what happened in 1997 and 1998?
You hate to cast a federal judge in that light, but that's why that statute's there. If you feel like there may be something, you should exercise it to remove him.
But Stallings says what's done is done.
That train pulled out. If you made a tactical decision, we're not going to raise this issue, we're happy with Judge Spencer, then you're happy with Judge Spencer.
Stallings also says Judge Spencer should not have recused himself if the concerns weren't raised to him. Stallings says that's why federal code states whenever a party files a sufficient affidavit that the judge has a personal bias or prejudice, such judge shall proceed no further. Another judge shall be assigned.
Plenty of federal judges around. Maybe it's best we get another one. Not that this does not mean that he was in any way biased or prejudiced, but you don't even like the appearance that it might be.
We really wanted Bob McDonnell and his attorneys to explain to us why they did not raise these potential issues of bias, which could have been a trump card. Bob McDonnell certainly knew what happened with Judge Margaret Spencer, and he's fighting for his freedom. No comment from anyone in the McDonnell camp, no comment from either of the Spencers. McDonnell could face 12 years in prison, and Judge James Spencer will sentence him on January 6th. I'm Andy Fox, 10 on your side.